make your own Vtuber model, you will need an art program. Here, you will draw and color each individual part of your model that is to be animated later. This is called cutting. Here, you will animate each layer from your art program. This is called rigging. Then you will need something like VTube Studio. Here, you will use your webcam or camera to track your face. To answer the question, I was unable to make this model in 7 days. It actually took me 12, which I still think is really good, and I'm very happy with the way it came out. I'll be sharing some tips for making your own first model, and for my timeline making this model. Tip 1 is to follow Inkugaki's tutorials. They are, in my opinion, the best tutorials for a beginner that's never opened Live 2D. Tip number 2, keep it simple. Keep your first model simple. This might seem very obvious, but it's actually really helpful. Inkugaki's tutorials, he uses a chibi, and I think that's probably your best option. Tip 3. If you're using free versions, keep in mind their limitations. For example, the free version of Live 2D, there is a canvas size limit. There is a limit to the warp deformers in parameters. Copy and paste parameters is a pro feature. If you're using free versions of VTube Studio, you won't be able to capture precise facial expressions like cheek puffing, tongue animations, and winking. So day 1 through 3 is basically getting all the art ready for Live 2D. So here is the first concept art of the character. It's pretty simple right now, but just focusing on the main silhouettes of the character. Here's some more concept art of her colored. This is a very clear idea of what the character overall is actually going to end up looking like. I did draw out the full body of the character, but I wasn't sure about the restrictions of the free version of Live 2D, so I ended up going with this bust-up version of the model that I'm using now. So here is the sketch of that. Here is the flat colors and line art of the character. And then after that, I added the shading and lighting and things. This character is missing an eye, but that is because the tutorials that I followed, which were Inkugaki's Live 2D tutorials, had you just rig one eye, then copy, paste, and flip it. So I actually just deleted one of the eyes in this, in the PSD file I'm using. But after all of that and having everything cut and rigged and ready for Live 2D, I was ready to import all of this and actually start rigging. Before I opened Live 2D for the first time, I got the head and ears X, Y, and Z parameters finished. This process felt very straightforward and I didn't have any trouble. Day 5 is the eye rigging. I didn't clip the eyes to the face yet, so when in Z rotation, the eyes would float off the face. Day 6, I tried to rig the mouth. The top skin part clipped all over the place, and when I tried to warp the mouth, it would look very strange and deformed. I then accidentally deleted my top mouth skin part and tried to copy, paste, and flip my bottom skin to replace the top. Well, that didn't work, as you can see. I also had problems with the keyframes. I couldn't get anything to animate properly and it would look very strange and deformed. I think this comes back to my earlier tips of not trying to warp too much. Day 7, I deleted all the mouth parts, went into my PSD file, and merged a lot of the mouth parts together for fewer layers and a simpler mouth. I re-imported and tried again from scratch. Day 7, I finished the mouth. Day 8 was working on eye, mouth, and nose XYZ parameters. I couldn't get reflect motion to work properly. I had to do each one of the nose, mouth, and eyes separately. I also had my first VTube Studio test. Everything looked good except the eyes weren't attached to the Z-axis. I also had my model follow my mouse cursor around instead of dealing with the webcam setup at this point. Day 9, I fixed the Z-axis and started on hair rigging. Mirroring parameters didn't work, and I had to do both sides manually. I also could not get reflect motion to work. Here's a video of what I mean by that. And I added the hair physics. Day 10, I warped the headgear into positions for the keyframes, so her antlers and her flowers. Again, I couldn't get reflect motion to work properly. Day 11, I got the gems and ropes to dangle with physics. I made one new parameter for them and followed the hair physics and just applied the same settings. I then imported everything into VTube Studio for a test. I used my webcam this time, and it definitely needed adjustments. But I already thought it was looking very cute and I was very happy with it. I'm also using my built-in laptop webcam, by the way, which means I'm not going to get as precise movements as I would if I bought the VTube Studio app and used a phone camera. Something I also realized that if you're using a webcam like I am, lighting is very important. Try to film underneath a bright light or in front of an open window. This will really help the webcam capture more precise movements. Day 12 was smoothing out the model in VTube Studio. Just playing around with a lot of the options in VTube Studios and the different sliders to find something that worked for my webcam, my model, and my lighting. After day 12, the model was completed. I am very happy with the way this model turned out. I think she looks very cute. I would definitely like to do more VTube Studio stuff in the future. I would also like to try to make a full body model and see if the size restrictions of the free version of Live 2D is more noticeable in a full body model. So here I'm just going to go over some facial expressions to see what the model is capable of. Left and right, up and down, watch her dangle. I love how the braids dangle and the little ropes and gem on the top of her head. I think that's very cute. See if we can get her to smile. Frown. It's very mesmerizing to watch them move around, isn't it? This model is for a friend, so I had some help with the concept art, choosing the final outfit and things like that. I don't think many people would consider this model extremely complex, but I think for most streaming purposes and video purposes, this wouldn't be much of a problem. It was a lot of fun, even though there were some frustrating parts like the mouth, but I am very glad I tried and I'm very happy with the way it came out. So I hope this encouraged you to try to make your own free VTuber, if that is something you were considering at the beginning. You can use a free art program like I did, Fire Alpaca. You can use the free version of Live 2D to animate, and you can use the free version of VTube Studio to record your face. I hope this was helpful or encouraging in some way if you were thinking about making your first model. And if you liked it, let me know, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Tip 2. Keep it simple. Keep your first model simple. This might seem very obvious, but it's actually very helpful. In inkugaki's tutorial. Tip 2. Keep it simple.